A guten Erev Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Shoftim. I want to begin by just wishing everyone a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Shabbos. This Shabbos in particular, it's very exciting here at Elyashiv because Rabbi Wogelanter is back, which is such a wonderful opportunity for our community to have Rabbi Jeff here again. Rabbi Wogelanter will be here for Shabbos. It's an opportunity for us again to be inspired by him. And we just are so looking forward to a beautiful Shabbos together. I want to just share one very insightful and very beautiful idea that comes out from this week's parsha. You know, the Torah tells us that one of the laws of a king, that a king needs to make sure that they have a Sefer Torah, that a king carries with them a Sefer, but it's not just one Sefer Torah that a king has to have. A king has to have two Sefer Torahs. As the pasuk says, the Torah tells us that v'haya kishifto al kisei mamachto, that when a king is sitting on his throne, the kasav lo es mishnah ha-Torah, that he has to have this repeated Torah. He has to have two Torahs. He has to have two Torahs. And the Gemara tells us in Maseches Sanhedrin on Daf Chaf Beis that the two Torahs, one he's supposed to keep in his a private area in his home, in a bunker, in a private area. But then there's another Torah that he's supposed to carry with him into the public. It's something that he keeps on his arm, a small Torah that he has with him. These are the two Torahs that a king has to have. Now, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of these two Torahs? I mean, most people don't even have one Torah. To have two Sifrei Torah, why is that so critical for the king to have? So the Torah tells us why a king needs to have two Torahs. V'haisaimo v'karabo, in order so that he could have it with him and read from it. Kol yemei chayav, his entire life. Leman, why? Yilma liras Hashem Elohav, in order so that he could teach the importance of having Yiras Shemayim, Lishmoras Kol Divrei HaTorah Hazos, in order so you and to learn to follow the entire Torah as Hukim Ha'ilil Asosam. It's a way of the king teaching others in order for him to also teach himself the importance of always having Hashem with you. Rav Elyashiv says that the purpose of a king in particular having these two Sifrei Torah is something that is critical. Because a king, the leader, needs to be able to demonstrate and model for us the importance of having Hashem with us, both in our private lives and in our public lives. Because you'll find that there are two types of people. People that it's easier for them to connect with God in a private way. It's easier for them to follow the ways of the Torah. It's easier for them to connect when it's just them. But then when they're out in public, when there's peer pressure around them, so it becomes more difficult. But then there are other people that out in the public, you'll walk the walk, you'll talk the talk, but then what do you do when you're behind closed doors? And the king is supposed to demonstrate for us the importance of tamim tiyam Hashem Elokechem, to have this wholesome relationship with God. That it's not just when you're in public and not just when you're in private, but toho gabaro, that your insides match your outsides and your outsides match your insides, that you are straight through, all the way across, have this wholesome relationship with God. You know, we say this every single morning as an introduction to Shabbos. We say, La'olam yeh adam yireh shamayim, that a person should always be able to experience God, to have this awe of God in their lives, this seser ubagolu, both in private and in public. This is the way that a Jew has to live, that a Jew doesn't just walk the walk, but a Jew also doesn't just talk the talk, but a Jew also lives the life. That we live a life of Torah. As Baruch Ber Leibovitz said, the closest student of Chaim Soloveitchik, said that that Torah is what generally translated gives us life. No, he said, it's Hem Chayenu, it is our life. We as Jews, being the Am HaNevchar, being the chosen nation, live this wholesome type of a life with God. You know, my family and I, a number of years ago, we went on a small little 2-day vacation with one of my cousins. We took our families and we went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Lancaster, Pennsylvania is Amish country. It's beautiful farmland. It was a lot of fun. They have these farms, went apple picking and peach picking, and all of these beautiful. They had rides at the farm. It was a lot of fun. And someone told me, we were staying there and there were a couple other Jews in the area, and they said, you should just know that there's a small shul, about 3 or 4 miles from here, and they try and put together a minyan in the morning if you want to just, come and try and help make a minyan. I said, okay, sure. Someone comes and gives me a request to come make a minyan. What am I going to tell them? No. So, okay, fine. I go to help them make the minyan. And I show up. They tell me it starts at 7 o'clock. So I'm there at 7. I'm the only guy in the parking lot. I can think to myself, there's no way there's actually going to be a minyan here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I'm waiting and waiting. Oh, another person shows up. Oh, okay, fine. At least there's another person here. 2 people show up. The door's still locked. And by the time it's 7 already, like 15, 20, so you know what? I'll just daven in the parking lot here. I start putting on my tefillin. I start davening. And by 7:25, someone shows up and they have the key. So they let the 6 or 7 of us that are in the parking lot inside, but still we didn't have a minyan. 7:30 rolls around. There's about 15, 20 people there. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, you know what? I guess the minyan was called for 7:30 instead of 7 o'clock. I must have gotten it wrong. Then, I kid you not, by 7:37, just a few minutes after the minyan started, there were no less than 150 people packing into this tiny little base medrash hodgepodge of a shul. A small little space, 150 people coming to daven. 150 people. It was a mind-blowing experience. These weren't locals that were coming to daven. These weren't people from Lancaster. These weren't Amish Jews. No. These were all people that were on vacation, that heard about a minyan and said, you know what? If I have an opportunity, why would I miss it? None of them had any accountability from a peer pressure perspective. None of their neighbors would have known whether or not they went to go daven with a minyan that day. But tamim tiem el Hashem elokecha, that to have this kind of a wholesome relationship with God is that in every single aspect of your life, private, public, when people see what you do, people don't see what you do, we always think, what's the right thing to do in this scenario? That's the way a Jew thinks. Of tamim tiem el Hashem elokecha, as is modeled by the king. In private, I have a Sefer Torah, and in public, I have a Sefer Torah. I wish everyone a beautiful, wonderful Shabbos, a Shabbos where we're able to think about this doctrine as we are about to begin as we begin Elul, as we begin this time of reconnecting with the Borei Olam, reconnecting with Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven, as we reconnect in this direct way with God, we have this mindset of this is the year, as Rosh Hashanah comes, this is the year that I'm going to live this type of a wholesome relationship. I wish everyone a beautiful and wonderful Shabbos.